Hello everyone, I'm Scott from West Ham Fan TV and this is a big match preview. This week we're previewing the Watford game. One of the last games under the lights at the Bowling. You know, it's going to be a big atmosphere. Once again, as I said in the last preview, you know, we got to get this run going for the end of the season and make sure we see out all our games and win all our games. A bit disappointing in the end to get the draw at Leicester, you know, going 1-0 down and then fighting back to be 2-1 up and then conceding a last minute penalty. You know, it's a bit gutting, but once again we need to take our chances. We're still not doing it, you know, and we can't keep looking at the referees to blame. You know, we've got to start making these chances count. As I said, Wednesday night playing Watford. They've got nothing to play for. You know, they're safe. They've got a cup semi-final round the corner. The manager's already come out and said that they're going to rest most of their squad. You know, they've got a fully fit squad, but he said he's going to make changes. I do believe he's saying probably the only main player to play will be the goalkeeper. This could work one or two ways for us. You know, this could be a massive, you know, incentive for our players to just think, right, yeah, we can roll these over, we can get this 2, 3, 4-0 victory that we keep showing glimpses of what we can get. Or on the other hand, it could work that these Watford players are going to try and play themselves into a cup semi-final team. You know, it could backfire on West Ham and these players up their game and put in a shift. I'm hoping it don't. You know, as I said, both teams have got fully fit squads. Sakho's back for us, which is a big boost. Watford form of us late isn't that great. They've only won 1 in their last 6. Obviously West Ham have not won in their last 6. You know, we've got 5 draws and a loss to Man United in the Cup. But we're creating chances. You know, the downside is, yeah, we are conceding. And as we said before, if it wasn't for dodgy refereeing decisions, we would have had a lot more points on the board than what we've got. I said, you know, when we look into the forms of both sides, you know, as I said, it's not that great. But looking at that, West Ham have only won 1 of their last 7 against Watford. You know, it isn't pretty reading. You know, there's something else we've got to put right. Last time out, it was one of our worst displays in the Premiership this season. You know, losing 2-0 to Watford. Andy Carroll not clearing the ball when he should have done. Collins got sent off. It was one of them games to forget for everyone. You know, but I think there's enough about us now to, you know, to push on and win this game. When we look at Watford's danger men, you know, you've got Igalu. If I pronounce that wrong, I do apologise. We all know what my pronunciation's like. Top goal scorer. You know, he's hit the ground running at Watford this season. He's hit the Premiership running. You know, he's one of them that's been a surprise package. The other guy I'm picking out is Troy Deeney. You know, obviously if these both start, Troy Deeney is a big, hard-working centre forward. You know, we were linked with him a few years ago. He's a decent player, you know, and he makes things happen. I'm sure he is their top assist for this season, and he works well with the other striker. So he's a tough one to handle. As I said, we're fully fit at the moment. Looking at a starting lineup, I do think we'll have a few changes. You know, some of the players do look tired. Adrian will stick in goal. We need to get Antonio forward, so I think Byron will come in at right back. I'd stick with Reid and Bonner. You know, there's calls for Collins to come back in or Tompkins to come in, but I'd stick with Reid and Bonner. Creswell, great goal on Sunday. Keep him out on the left. Midfield, as I said, push Antonio up. We need him further forward. You know, to me, in the recent games, he's been our most attacking threat, and he's played from right back. You know, he's someone we need to get on the ball and get in the game. Yeah, I said on post-match pipe, maybe we should rest Noble. I'd give Obiang a chance in the midfield with Quixote. As I said, Antonio playing on the right. I'd bring back Lanzini, stick him on the left. I'd start with Payet. You know, I think he does need a rest, but at least give him an hour, give him 60 minutes, and keep Andy Carroll up front. You know, Andy's on a good bit of form, 4 goals in 3 games. He looks dangerous, he looks fit, he looks sharp. You know, we've got to keep playing him. As I said, with a return of Sakho, you know, shove him on the bench, give Andy 60 minutes, chuck Sakho on. You know, the options are so much better. My prediction for this week's game, I'm going to go confident 3-1 win. You know, I think we've got too much about us. I think that Watford are going to be worrying about their cup semi-final. As I said at the start of the preview, I know players are going to be playing to try and get a place, but I just think we've just got too much for them to handle. and I can see a comfortable 3-1 victory. So check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all across the board on social media. Don't forget to check out the website, westhamfan.tv. And one thing left to say, come on you Irons.